Wow, you brought some fans.
I have some support.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
I can hear. That's fantastic. Well, let's talk about sex.
Let's do that. Let's talk
Yeah,
about sex.
let's not talk about you and me, but let's talk about all the good things and bad things there may be.
Yes. So,
Let's talk about sex.
so I wanted to share with you something interesting that I find it quite fun, but I'm not sure what you will think about it. So when you think of the stimuli that you come in contact when you're engaging in sex, so think for a second. The tip of the penis, the vagina, the mouth, and the body products like the ejaculate, saliva, sweat, these are extremely disgusting, and yet we somehow manage to have sex, or most of us do, or want to do.
Wow.
Yes.
That's pretty intriguing.
And of course, Marie-José, there are people that have more disgust than other people and might have more difficulty with expressing disgust, but across cultures, these are really disgusting stimuli.
So, indeed, when you think about it like that, it's quite intriguing that we indeed have sex in the first place. But it also means that to engage in intimate contact, you should put aside some natural defense mechanism, because
Yes,
in a
precisely.
way,
Yes, so as you're saying, we need sex for procreation, but most importantly for pleasure, reward, etc. on the one hand. On the other hand, you need to have disgust in order to stay disease-free. And disgust actually developed for that purpose. Without disgust, we would be eating all kinds of rotten food, engaging in immoral behavior, and also have sex with less than optimal mates. So disgust is essential for survival, as sex is. And if you are not sexually aroused, so for example, children in pre-puberty, they might or if you're not in the mood, then you will express a lot of disgust with the sexual stimuli. Like already my children, when I kiss them, a sloppy kiss full of love, they say, oh, yuck, disgusting. Or if they watch something on television, they say, oh, they are kissing mouth to mouth. So sexual stimuli, if you're not in the mood, you can think for yourselves, are extremely disgusting. Okay. I don't want to put anyone off sex here. Eh? No. That's not the intention. That's not my work.
But you're also saying when people are sexually aroused, they can overcome this disgusting response, and I guess that's quite a good thing. Otherwise, we would be sitting here in front of a, well, empty theater.
And we won't be here either.
That's true,
yeah.
Indeed. So that makes sense, but I'm curious, how does this relate to your research? So how do you use this for your studies?
So this was kind of the start, my fascination about this research, and first it was the focus on how we can induce sexual arousal to weaken disgust, this disgust by default that we all seem to have. And at that point I was kind of at a crossroads trying to build a model how sex affects disgust and how disgust affects sex. And a startup company represented by Roel van der Kamp, he contacted me and he told me, after reading your study, an experimental study to weaken disgust, he told me, I would like to study scientifically the other side of this relationship. So, in other words, to find a way how to kill genital arousal. Of course, same thought as you're having, who wants to do that? But he had a very compelling story. Immediately, his rationale was so strong and I was captured immediately. So his idea was to find a way to reduce the risk of rape by inducing an aversive smell to kill the erection, really, to reduce the risk of rape. So that's kind of how it all started, or how it continued.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
So you started off with understanding how disgust kind of kills, or how sexual arousal overcomes our disgust response, and then you flip that around and you actually use it to prevent rape?
Yes, it sounds complex, but
yes.
The thinking. However, this was the initial idea, and we wanted to find something that is very aversive to kill genital arousal, but that is also subtle, and you can think for yourself. Smell is one very efficient way how to induce disgust. So we were immediately on it, trying to collaborate with other universities in the Netherlands and with people, other professionals within our university, to find this aversive smell. And we succeeded. However, this study was really complicated, Maria-Jose. It was, for me, it was the most complex study. We had to work with smell. You need to take care of so many features, the size of the room, and many things. And more importantly, we had to measure the genital sexual arousal, because to kill it, you need to first arouse the man. So that you see there, it's a very delicate type of ring that goes around the penis. The men apply it themselves, and it needs to be the right size. It cannot be too large or too small. And this you can imagine, if you had to write large or small, I think we have an idea what the man would choose. So I had a very good student. I'm surrounded by these. And she came up with the idea. It was not mine. I wish it was. She decided to come up with a paper, with a colorful paper tape to put it around the penis. And according to the size of the color that it arrives to, there are these colorful envelopes. And then it fits the actual penis. And at some point, even we contaminated the whole Hyman's building. This is where my lab is. My lab is in the basement. And the smell was circulating to the 4th floor. So I had no friends in the 4th floor. Okay. Now the relationship is better. Yes.
I think this is fascinating because, of course, normally we present these exciting findings, which is a good word maybe now, but we talk about the facts, but we don't talk about how we come to these facts and how difficult it is to gain knowledge. And I guess here you want to prove that sexual arousal, as measured by the size of the erection, how you can kind of turn that around so that the risk in the end for rape is lower, and for that it helps to don't have that erection. Yes. So how does that work? How do you actually prove how that works?
Yes, so to make sure...
What do you do to your participants, actually, is the question.
To make sure how... that it works, you first need to have an erection. So, and we also wanted to make sure that the smell that we are inducing is disgusting. So the men, I think it will come on the slide very soon, were very, yes, they were very well equipped, because you need to control for everything, as you can imagine. So they had the tubing, the experimental group had the experimental smell, and we also had the control smell to control for the specific smell. We measured the facial expressions to make sure that this is disgust. We measured the penile circumference, if I'm telling you, so they were highly, full of equipment.
I can see,
and after that, we produced a comedy movie to put them at ease. And then when the pornography started and the erection occurred, then we started with these puffs, keeping a satiation of the same smell. Okay. Yes.
I think this is very impressive also from the participation of with the participants.
We always have a lot of participants.
Okay,
I find this impressive, yes.
Indeed,
yes.
But now we're talking about the lab, and you see that this is not a real world sex interaction. But often in psychology, and I know that myself, I'm a psychologist too, these things that you do in the lab don't easily translate to the real world. So how did that happen, and does it work?
Yes. Actually, this study is very close to my heart for this reason, because as an experimental and clinical psychologist, you don't really have the opportunity to have direct impact. Of course, at a micro level, we do with our clients and with our students, but this was at a bigger level, because it moved away from the scientific roots, and actually at a national level, this bracelet that I'm wearing here, and that's on the screen as well, was developed, which is called the INVI bracelet. And the INVI bracelet is actually with the neat smell, because what I forgot to mention here, I didn't say, is that the smell we used in the lab was a dilution of 1 in 100,000, so it was highly diluted, while the smell that we have in the bracelet is the neat smell. And with one finger movement, this smell can be released. I'm not going to do that here.
Don't worry.
And now, actually, what is very special, that INVI partnered with national societies like, for example, the Center for Sexual Violence in the Netherlands, where it's being used as part of the healing process to give them a confidence and a sense of safety, because the women that are victimized, and it can be men, but it's mostly focused on women, they have a higher chance to be re-victimized, so the feeling of confidence is very important, and that's nationally and internationally at a global level. We partnered with NGOs in, for example, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Burundi, where NGOs are including these measures to increase the confidence for very high vulnerable populations. So for me, this was a very special happening, opportunity at a micro and also at a macro level, I would say. Yes.
Yeah, and this is very impressive to have such a small idea, or it's a big idea, but it's the idea about some psychological theory, how certain systems interact, and you turn that into a product that has a real-life impact. And of course, you do that with many partners. I think that's interesting how also research happening within the university translates into the real world, and how the real world feeds into the questions we are asking. Is this also the research you will keep doing?
No, I will continue working on this relationship between disgust and sexual arousal and vice versa, because I think there's still so much to do. But now also moving with the new vision of the faculty, where we want to find ways how to improve our well-being, I'm more moving towards harnessing the power of sexual arousal to improve our well-being, features of our well-being. For example, we're doing work on increasing sexual arousal to reduce the experience of pain. These are all complicated experimental studies, but with good societal impact. We're also doing work on how to improve the quality of sex to improve the feeling of restfulness, the feeling of being restful after a night's sleep. And something that I have close to my heart is how to improve the quality of relationships and sexual cohesions in long-term couples. So that's where I'm moving, towards well-being.
Okay, that's fascinating, and I think it's a good opportunity maybe for the university to rethink, to replace maybe lunch walks with other activities.
Yes, something to be considered, Mariusz.
Really good. Okay. Well, I think we could all listen for hours to the experiment, how it really works and the impact of it. I want to thank you, Charmaine Borg.
As well.
Give her a big hand.